Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Divergent. It's a movie starring Shailene Woodley and Theo James. It also has Jai Courtney being Jai Courtney, Miles Teller before he started being the good guy in movies, and also has like Maggie Q, Kate Winslet, the CEO from The Sixth Day, and Zoe Kravitz, and just a bunch of names that you'll recognize and you recognize the faces of. So a lot of big names, and it also has quite a big budget. So, as always, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the furry. To start with the furry, there really isn't any. Just moving on to the good and the bad. So, I want to preface this by saying that this is the first of 3 movies that were based on a 4 or 5 book series. So, they're not making the rest of the movies because I think that they either cost too much or regardless, they didn't make enough. So, if you're hoping for a satisfying ending, I don't remember exactly what happened at the end of the 3rd one, but I want to say it was a cliffhanger because they were hoping for the 4th one that didn't happen. I don't know if there's 4 or 5, but there's more books than what they had in the movies. And they never made the TV show that I've heard rumor of, and they never made like a small screen thing. It just never happened. So, just prepare yourself if you want to get started with the Divergent series. So this is the first movie in it, and in regards to the ending of this movie, I feel like it was satisfying enough because it's kind of like, and they lived happily ever after sort of ending where you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, they lived happily ever after. As long as you don't think about like, well, how the fuck do they live happily ever after? Like, what? Okay, they just rode off in a carriage drawn by horses, in whatever fairy tale. But, like, what happens then? Where are they going? How are they going to sustain themselves? That sort of thing. Like, once you start to think about it, you're like, So as long as you just kind of are fine with and they lived happily ever after type of ending with this, then I think you'll be fine with the ending of this movie. But the other thing is that I found, especially when I watched the first movie of this, I found it a little hard to believe that people were so conditioned to be part of, there was candor, dauntless, erudite, abnegation, and I feel like there was one other one I'm forgetting. But anywho, so I found it very hard to believe that people's psyche were just so conditioned that they would just be one of these things, and that somehow divergence, and by the way, divergent means that you're more than one, you qualify for more than one, was so, but there was almost no divergent people. I was like, but really? So if I remember correctly, and I'll find out as I rewatch it, but if I remember correctly, they do a better job of explaining how that was possible in future movies, but not this one. This one you just kind of have to take it that that's how this world is now. The other thing that was a little confusing to me, and still a little bit is that if you're more than one of them, you're divergent, and that's bad, that's dangerous. But if you fail out of your dauntless class, you become factionless. So you still don't have a faction, but it's not divergent, which qualifies for more than one faction. It's totally different, guys. It's just basically like making LA or San Francisco, where you're just making homeless people for no reason. You're just like, yep, you don't have a faction, so factionless / homeless for you. Good luck. Okay, sure, whatever. But if you ignore all of that, it's quite fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie because the fight scenes, the actual fighting stance, I think is a little ridiculous looking. The actual fights themselves, I think, are well choreographed. They have good hit noises, and they have good shots where they're long enough where the camera's not getting hit a whole bunch. And I like me a good origin story. This is a pretty good origin story. And I like me a good military boot camp style story. And that's what this is. And so the first time I watched it, I was just like, geez, Jai Courtney, why are you such an asshole? I mean, you usually are, but you're especially an asshole in this movie. But if you think about it, yes, he probably laid it on a little bit more than needed to because of what his character needed to do. But in a military training environment, I imagine that you need probably need a nicer person, and then you need the guy who's pushing them harder, who is the asshole, who needs to be the asshole so that the people who need that type of motivation are motivated, and then the people who need the other type of motivation have a different instructor type of thing. So I think that it's a little bit more forgiving in that case. But I enjoyed it. I liked the technology that they used and the pacing of it. I liked the character development and the especially just Theo James, always a win, and Shailene Woodley. I kind of got a thing for her, at least for her in pretty much all of her movies. I don't know about her the person. She could be a great person, or she could like eat babies. I don't know, but her characters, and just her just she does it for me. So I'm gonna call it always a win for her movies because it's my choice. I'm doing it. So she was in this, and she does excellent. I think she's a fantastic actress, and she also kicks butt in it, and I enjoyed seeing that. And just the dialogue, especially, I don't know how much of Miles Teller's lines were written for him or not, but he does them so well because he's just so good at being an asshole. But he's also good at being a good guy. It's so great that he was able to make that transition, because I don't think Jai Courtney was able to make that transition in his movies. Anywho, so this movie did not require a whole lot of blatant in-your-face CGI, like, oh, check out these holograms, or check out these big giant robots attacking, or aliens attacking, or whatever. Like, they didn't have that. I'm sure they had quite a bit of CGI to make the city that they were in look overgrown and dilapidated, and like zipline sequence and the train sequences. Yes, I'm sure there's quite a bit of CGI involved in it, but they did it in an unobtrusive way because of the like military basic focus that this movie was. So I enjoyed it. I think the stakes were just high enough, and the sad things that happened and the things that tug at your heartstrings happened in a good way, and they spent enough time on it, but not too much time, because they went on and had the right amount of action. So I can understand why this movie got a sequel, because I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. But yeah, that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.